What's going on, everybody? All right. Bear with me a second. I got to find where this press conference is going to be on. This is one of the new pieces of content that we're going to be doing is some of the breaking news when it's breaking. So hello, everybody. Welcome. I don't see it on here yet. So it is going to be on Sebastian Rogers, which is one of the cases that we covered recently, talking about his parents, just some of the weird behaviors with his parents that just seem kind of odd. Where are his parents again? They took off in a camper to Alabama, right? No, Mississippi. Or Mississippi. Yeah, Mississippi. And law enforcement haven't talked about this case much at all. It's been pretty much pushed by the true crime community. So it's nice to be able to finally see an update here. It's been a while since we've heard anything from the police. Yeah.
I'm looking for a lot of things to be clarified too, like if the dogs actually got a hit. Like I don't know if they're going to talk about that, but
yeah. When did they start using the dogs though? Or have they the whole time? They've just been in different spots than some of the true crime creators.
I don't know. I don't think they're using dogs anymore unless the United Cajun Navy did, which they pulled out of the search. So they used them pretty early on.
Have they made any comments directed towards the parents? Because you said they cleared the parents right away, right? Will you try and find out?
Yeah. This computer is just being very slow.
Hello, everybody. Let me pull up a picture of Sebastian Rogers. For anybody that hasn't seen our video, I believe I just posted it last week. And what are the details? That is the that's the topic you covered. When did he go missing? The actual date?
When I'm looking for something, I can't just remember dates off the top of my head.
I got you.
February 25th, though, because I do have something here in front of me. So. Try maybe News Channel 5 or WSMV.
Yeah, I'm on WSMV.
You need to go to their live feed. That's not WSMV.
This is.
Jury selection for Chad Daybell's going on right now, too. Day 2 of jury selection.
Yeah. Okay,
I
there
do
we
feel
go.
like the Chad
Good
Daybell
call.
thing is like kind of anticlimactic because
Yeah.
we already had the Lori, Vallow Daybell trial. So it's like everybody knows he's guilty, which I mean, it creates with the notoriety of Lori's trial and everything that happened. Like, is it even possible for Chad Daybell to get a fair trial? At
I
this
mean,
point, I feel like it's not even possible.
I mean, I don't think it's
The jurors
about
just
a
have to put it
fair.
out of their mind and just go off of the evidence because
Yeah,
everyone has heard about that case,
yeah, I hear you.
especially
But
in Idaho, I'm sure.
I think why it feels like there's no way he could possibly have a fair trial is because the evidence against them is so damning that there just isn't any chance for him to
Right.
be seen as innocent, and that's at their own doing, not because of the Lori case, and
Okay. Are
conclusion
you
of the
watching it?
Lori
You need to
case.
keep it on that.
Yeah, I gotcha. Is the Lori case, but yeah.
So let's go over a timeline for Sebastian. He's 15 years old. He went missing the night of February 25th. And his mother woke up the next day to wake him up for school and saw that he wasn't there. She claims that, there's a lot of contradictions in the mother and stepfather story. The stepfather was supposedly in Memphis, like 3 hours away. And his biological father gets him every other weekend and is very active in his life. Supposedly, all of Sebastian's shoes are accounted for, and none of them are missing. And a little keychain flashlight is missing. So they think he walked out barefoot with a keychain flashlight. From what the cops have said, there is no scent trail. The dogs never hit anywhere. Not a scent dog or a cadaver dog hit anywhere. But the
Okay.
parents claim they did hit right outside of the home and at the retention pond, which was drained and looked in. But that's really it, other than the wild contradictions in their stories, like Christopher Proudfoot going into detail about CPS case he had and situations with hitting Sebastian with a belt, and then going on Nancy Grace's show and acting like it was nothing. And I have something stuck in my throat. I need something to drink. And like basically it never happened.
Here we go.
Really weird. Oh yeah.
You guys ready? All right. Good morning. I'm Eric Craddock with Sumner County Sheriff's Office, and we're going to come to you today with an update on the Sebastian
sharing
Rogers case. Sebastian has been missing since late February. The investigation remains ongoing with steadfast support from the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, and many other local and federal resources. We are exploring every lead that comes in and every tip that comes in. As I said before, the investigation remains ongoing. The entire community is deeply saddened by what has occurred. We're all extremely concerned for Sebastian's welfare. I want to encourage the community to stay vigilant, to report anything that they think may be of some significance to the investigation, no
That
matter
type
how
of
minute
statement.
it may appear to be to you. Please call 1-800-TBI-FIND with any tips, or the Sumner County Emergency Communications Center at 615-451-3838. We understand the anxiety and the concern that this case has caused in the community. We too share the anxiety and concern for Sebastian. I want to reiterate that we are doing everything we can to find Sebastian and bring him home. Despite the passage of time, the commitment to finding Sebastian remains unwavering. I said this when we scaled the search back. Our commitment to finding Sebastian remains. We will continue to investigate every possible lead that comes in. The Summary County Sheriff's Office wants to express our gratitude to the community and the many individuals who have helped in the search, the many individuals who have called in tips, the many individuals who have printed flyers and kept Sebastian's face in the news. Nothing would make me happier than to wake up tomorrow morning with a tip that cracks this case wide open and we find Sebastian and bring him home. At this time, I'll turn it over to Susan Allen from the TBI.
Thank you, WG. Hi, good morning. Thanks for being here. We know how invested everybody is in the search for Sebastian, in finding out what happened to him and bringing him home. And we want to let everybody know he has not been forgotten. Nobody's forgotten about him. Nobody has given up looking for him. At the beginning of this investigation, there was a large land search for him. It was very visible. There were also waterways, lakes, ponds that were searched. There were aerial searches with helicopters and drones and fixed wing planes. They were done at night. They were done on weekends. They were done during the day. That was very visible, and it was something everybody was able to see. But we want to let you know that even though there is not that high visibility in investigating this case, that we are not done. It's gone back to what could be considered good old-fashioned police work. Interviewing individuals, re-interviewing individuals, checking out leads, rechecking leads. We have been working with other law enforcement agencies who have had, in other jurisdictions, who have perhaps had some complex cases of their own that they have worked on to get tips from them. We have had, this day of technology with everyone having cell phones and doorbells and ring bells and surveillance cameras. That, as you can imagine, has been a bit of a chore to be able to collect all those and then review them. It's important so we know what's out there. We have been reviewing that, reviewing it again. We have had other agencies involved. The FBI has been helpful in that. Secret Service has also been helpful in that. So we are just trying to do whatever we can to advance the investigation. It has not gone to a place where anybody has forgotten about him or is not pursuing this. The parents have been cooperative throughout. At the beginning of the investigation, they have pretty much done whatever law enforcement has asked of them. At this point, we don't have any evidence. There is not any kind of an indication that there is a criminal element involved. But we are keeping options open. We don't know what has happened. We don't know where Sebastian is right now. So we are pursuing any and all avenues. We do want to caution there are some social media elements out there who purport to have information that is direct from the investigation. I just want to reiterate that is not the case. Some of the information that is being provided on some of the social media channels is inaccurate, incomplete. We don't want this to damage the investigation. So we would just caution anyone who is following the case to just use some caution as to what you see and what you believe.
I mean, like mainstream media?
It's caused a bit of a distraction because a lot of what has been out there in some of the social media channels has been rumors and speculations and theories, and some of that has been advanced, and people have caught a hold of it as if it's what's really happening.
Focus on Sebastian.
That has resulted in us getting information that is either, like I said, distracting. It's taking away time and effort from what the agencies need to be doing as far as looking for Sebastian. We have had so far, as of this morning, 314 tips that have come in through the tip line. It's been mentioned, but I'll say it again. It's 1-800-TBI-FIND. We are also taking tips through email, which is tips to TBI, TBI, at tbi.tn.gov. What's next? We want people, as Chief Deputy said, to continue to remain vigilant, get Sebastian's picture out there, continue to share his picture, his information. Now that it's getting to be nicer, well, not today with the weather, but now that the weather has turned warmer, people may be more inclined to be in their yards. If you go out and see anything that looks different, let us know. Something where perhaps a teenager could have hidden. If you have a large amount of property in the area or something that has any kind of holes or unstable footing or ledges where, again, where a teen could have gone to hide or to play, and you don't feel comfortable checking it out, let us know. We'll get somebody from law enforcement to go out there with you or to check it out themselves. We just want to make sure that every stone is unturned, that there's no stone left unturned, that we want people to make sure that we are looking everywhere we can. We do want to continue to get the tips, but please make it, don't provide information that you might have seen through social media channels. If you have information about Sebastian, about conversations you might have had with him, things he likes to do, places he liked to go, any people he may have mentioned that are in his
That was
life,
a mistake.
that could be helpful in finding out maybe what he was interested in. Finally, we want to thank the community. We want to thank the media. You guys have been really good about keeping his name in the public's eye. That's really important. And thank you for your diligence in providing that information out there. And as Chief Deputy said, we also want
Always
to
a
thank the community.
contradiction, man.
From the very first day, everybody has really been all in as far as whatever they can do to help in the search, to help pass information on, providing water for the teams that were out conducting the ground searches. So thank you again to everybody. I'm going to pass it back to Eric Credit.
The weather is rolling in. We've got time for some questions. So yes, ma'am.
The weather determines the question.
He's putting a sense of urgency. Like, I can only answer a few.
There
Make
is
it quick.
No evidence to support foul play is involved in the disappearance of Sebastian.
But at this point, you don't rule it out.
We're not ruling anything out.
So 5 weeks, and you guys covered so much ground, searching, going back, researching, checked out every case of a possible sighting, nothing confirmed, not a trace of Sebastian anywhere, nothing found. No footprints, no video, nothing.
Nothing that is taken us to locate Sebastian.
And are there any working theories?
We come up with theories almost daily and try and investigate and make sure that we're doing everything we can to find Sebastian.
Share any of those?
No, sir.
2 questions, if I may. Have you ruled
Sent
out
dogs.
mom and stepdad's involvement in this case? And as a follow-up, have you cleared their alibi?
I think the TBI said it best. They've been nothing but cooperative with law enforcement since day one of this investigation. There is no evidence to support foul play on the part of Sebastian's parents.
Is that moving to Memphis interfering at all with your investigation? Is it changing possibly the avenues of communication?
No, sir.
You mentioned when you were asked about recent evidence, we heard some rumors that you seemed to have some validity, that there was glasses found within the past few days. Can you confirm that?
There were some glasses found in the past few days.
Or have you been able to identify that they were Sebastian?
We are still investigating.
They found glasses.
Have you found how is that coordination happening? Have you found their work helpful? Or are you guys working in unison or a separate team?
The Cajun Navy is operating independently. They have not reached out to us.
Have you found their investigation or their work helpful? Or
United Cajun Navy, guys, not Cajun
One of the
Navy.
things that I really appreciate they've done is print flyers and keep Sebastian's face out there. It's my hope that one day somebody sees something and calls in and this case breaks wide open and we find Sebastian.
They've claimed they've received threats. To your knowledge, have they filed any police reports or reports to the sheriff's department documenting any of these alleged threats?
No, sir.
Are we able to learn anything about what those threats are?
They would have to call the police and report them.
Where does the search go from here? It's been 5 weeks. There's been no signs. Do you believe he's still alive? And what are you guys going to continue working on?
My hope and prayer is that Sebastian is still alive. Yes. We're going to continue to work on this investigation and follow up every tip and lead that comes in. Some of this may revert back to us going over some things that we've already done for the 6th, 7th, or 8th time. A fresh set of eyes never hurt anything. We're going to continue to work to find Sebastian.
Has the story been changing at all as you've been talking with people, interviewing them for a second time possibly?
There is no evidence to support foul play.
Are there any active currently that you guys are pursuing?
We have tips called in daily.
Any of those tips seem legitimate enough to expand law enforcement resources?
Regardless of their legitimacy, we're going to follow up on them.
Will there be any other
Got-
agencies pulled in to help in the search efforts for this case?
I'm certain there will be.
roughly 20 tips a day.
You met with the biological father and mother this past week. Is that a
Sounds
third
like they
time?
found glasses. Yeah.
Is that just re-interviewing them again?
That was at the request of law enforcement. It's not uncommon to talk to the family in investigations like this. I've
Yeah.
got time for one more question.
Just overall, how has this investigation impacted the morale at your department, especially with all the scrutiny coming online?
Let me put it to you like this. If my kid was missing, this is the team I'd want on it. The men and women of the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, the FBI partners, the other local agencies, the Secret Service, everyone who's had a hand in this case is doing everything they can to find Sebastian. Morale's high. We are here and we are dedicated. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you for keeping Sebastian in the public. Please continue to publicize this photo. Thank you all.
All right. So, what new information did we get from that? That's interesting. That
The glasses, for one,
the
the glasses
glasses.
is a big deal.
The only thing I'm a little worried about when they said the glasses is he did not clearly state that they were Sebastian's glasses. However,
He
if
said
they're
we're
relevant
still
to the
in.
case,
He said we're still investigating. That's all he said when
Yeah.
when they pressed him on it.
listen.
So
Do you guys feel like law enforcement should come out in a situation like this with the Sebastian Rogers case? And hey, welcome on X. Super happy to have you here. In a situation like this, and pretend there's not some strange circumstances that feel and or seem that there could be some criminal element to it. And like, look, there's doubt here.
there's
Okay,
very
so is the
clear
doubt gonna
signs
be-
of criminal activity.
Is the doubt going to be on the law enforcement officers, or is the doubt going to be on parents? Anybody who's watching that has a kid, okay, just think to yourself, if your kid went missing in your hometown, would you leave thousands of miles or hundreds of miles away?
Hundreds, yeah.
And I don't even know. I don't even know what they're doing. But it doesn't feel
Well, when asked on Nancy Grace, the mother and the stepfather said, I'm going back to work, and he works in Memphis. And she said, well, like, what are you doing? And she's like, well, I'm accompanying him to work, and then I'll come back. And Nancy Grace was like, okay, do you know when you're going to come back? And she was like, no. And she was like, well, aren't you worried about being away from home while he's still missing and the investigation is still going on? She said, yes, I am. And that's really all she said, is like, yeah, I'm accompanying my husband to work. I have no idea when I'm coming back. And they did say they were afraid of like some of the death threats they were getting. Because unfortunately,
What? Death threats?
this case, there's a bunch of people claiming to get threats. Like the United Cajun Navy has stopped their search for Sebastian because apparently they're getting threats, as Divided in the chat was detailing.
And thank you for that.
Like female and male volunteers have claimed they were intimidated and or threatened.
But the United
So they
Cajun
pulled out.
Navy was.
Yeah. So another thing here is the Cajun Navy has said that the United Cajun Navy is a scam and that they don't claim them at all.
Okay.
That's what's been said. I have no idea on a personal level. I've just heard things and they haven't been good things. And I know JLR is having a ton of drama with them right now. Now, what I have heard wasn't from him. I heard that before JLR started talking about it. But obviously it's gotten a lot worse with his drama with them.
It was the Cajun Navy who came out and made a public statement saying,
Yes.
hey, we aren't part of them. There's a difference between us and them. And then I don't even know all the details of the JLR drama, you guys. But
JLR has been exposing them. And to be honest, he has been exposing a lot. A lot of it seems valid. Valid questions were asked, and it's true. The United Cajun Navy got credit for finding Riley Strain, but they didn't find Riley Strain. They literally found nothing. They didn't find anything in that case at all. They also have found nothing in the Sebastian Rogers case. According to JLR, when he was at the bowling alley, they were just chilling at a bowling alley.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't want to talk crap on a whole organization unless I have like something that's more of a fact. The only fact we really have is the Cajun Navy claiming that they have no part of the United Cajun Navy. But anyway, I mean, even then, apparently Seth, the father, the biological father, has had some of his volunteers getting threats too. So some of them are no longer volunteering looking for Sebastian, which is really unfortunate. And they have to be careful right now. I don't know what's going on. I'm not sure why this is happening. Why so many of them are getting threats. I mean, that doesn't help find Sebastian. If anything, it stops people. It literally is hindering finding Sebastian. So it's really sad. It's really dumb. And I don't understand the point of people doing that. Like, either it's intentional to stop Sebastian from being found, or it's people care and are expressing it in a totally wrong way. Because you're not benefiting anything by doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, here I was gonna show his father.
Sebastian's father seems like such a great dad. He even, he doesn't say a single bad word about Sebastian's mother or the stepfather, even though they cut him off and stopped talking to him after Sebastian went missing.
And again, strange.
And he still
doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense. And he still will not say a bad word about them, which says a lot about who he is. Another interesting thing that has happened in this case is Chris Proudfoot, Sebastian's stepfather, his ex-wife came out and started talking and did a
About
super long video. I forget which channel it was with, you guys, but she started talking about her experience with Chris Proudfoot and how she married him, met him on a dating site, married him. He was in the military in San Diego.
Just to be clear, this isn't him, you guys.
No.
This is his
biological
real
father
on
yes.
the screen currently. But okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Well, with his stepfather, she claimed that she met him on a dating site, married him, he moved her to San Diego, and their relationship did not sound great. It sounded like he tried to take like a disciplinary role to her kids. Like she already had 2 kids. And there's a couple situations she detailed, like trying to cut her daughter's nails and him backhanding her for pulling her hand away, and she had braces and it busted her lips and stuff.
Okay.
There's a few situations she detailed that were like, whoa, okay, like that's a bit extreme.
Yeah.
And also how he coaxed her into moving to Hendersonville, Tennessee, where all of his family is. And apparently neighbors had been warning her from San Diego, saying they're planning on taking your baby from you, because she had Faith, which is his only child, like biological child.
Okay.
And Faith was a baby, and he was convincing her to move to Hendersonville. And the neighbor in San Diego was saying they're trying to take your baby. They're plotting to take your baby. And she didn't listen. And so she followed him to Hendersonville. And they basically, his family had her drop Faith off to be babysitted, and then had her served with what is it called? A restraining order.
Okay.
And she couldn't go get Faith. Like the cops are like, yeah, we can't help you.
I mean, that's not how that works.
Well, Chris was there. He just didn't tell her he was in town. He acted like he was in San Diego working, and he wasn't. He actually came back. She dropped Faith off at the house. at his mother's house to be babysitted, and then they had a restraining order ready for her to get served by a lawyer. She got served, and she legitimately could not go
Well,
get them.
Picking
Get
up your
Faith.
child, in my understanding, and I've never had this situation happen myself,
But
just
they
to be
they
clear,
plotted all of this, had her move across the country to do this
yeah,
to
I
her.
got you, but you still have to go pick up your child. You have legal responsibilities when it comes to the care of your child, and that would, like, you can't in a situation be like, hey, law enforcement, I can't go pick up my child because they have a restraining order. So sorry, that's not how that works.
Well, their restraining order, I think, was also for the baby. Like,
Okay,
the father got it for himself and the baby or something like that.
got it.
It worked,
Okay.
though. Like,
Okay,
she
got
couldn't.
it.
The cops
Got
would
it.
not let her.
Mm.
Like, they were like, we can't help you. So it was a whole court battle and everything. Now, here's one thing I want to say. We only hear one side. And while there's a lot of contradictions with what Chris and, the mother have said, what the stepfather and mother have said, we haven't heard their side of all of that, really. Like,
Yeah,
a
that's
rebuttal.
true.
Now, he has kind of detailed his CPS case a little bit, but then he went on Nancy Grace and said, like, kind of the exact opposite of what he said the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So there's problems here. There's definite problems here. And I mean, the police are saying they don't see any foul play.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have to take it with a grain of salt. Apparently, the mother passed a lie detector test. Is that saying a ton? Not necessarily, but it says
Do
something.
we have confirmation of that?
No, it's only her word. The cops haven't
Oh,
said that.
so the
It's
cops
only her.
haven't. Got it. Okay.
And Chris
Di-
says he volunteers to take one, but they said he doesn't have to because his alibi checks out and he was 3 hours away. I don't know. It's interesting. The only thing I can say is it does seem like Chris has a family that's willing to jump for him, because like that whole situation, if it's true with the ex-wife, his whole family was in on it. And even when he was ordered to give the baby back, like his whole family was supposedly at the sheriff's office and were messing with her and filming her live on Facebook. And messing with her. Like, he got in her car and tried to drive off with the kids in it and like all kinds of stuff.
Whoa.
She had to run into the sheriff's department and ask for help. And then they detained her and the kids. And he knew the sheriffs, is what she said. And then they were ordered by her lawyer.
What a messy situation.
They were
Oh my
ordered by her
gosh.
lawyer. Like, if you don't let them go, if you don't stop all of this, he's going to lose his career. He's in the military. Like, they're not going to be okay with any of this. And
This is crazy.
all of it sounds insane, you guys. And that's why I would take it. I would not 100% just believe it. Like, I need documentation. I need police reports. I need things like that. I need some kind of documentation and not just somebody's word for it, because relationships are messy. And clearly this one was messy.
Yeah.
So could she have also been just totally off the handle too? Yes. Both of them could have been crazy and done crazy things.
It sounds so. I'm sitting here thinking of the situation, right? Because how I work is I lay out all the details in any situation and then choose which is the best, most likely way forward in here, right? So you have the parents who didn't seem to be involved in the initial search, who were willing to move hundreds of miles away to go back to work, that have stopped talking to the birth father, that have separated themselves from the case, that have a messy background, supposedly, right? I don't want to commit to that because I wasn't there and I don't know, but you have all of that, which makes huge question marks come into play. Massive. Makes me wonder what is going on here, but then you have a lie detector test, according to them. And that lie detector test is what? The reason why people don't think all these decisions that they made are weird?
I guess so.
I personally don't have a lot of faith in lie detector tests.
I think we need to do a thing where we play past statements of these two and statements from the Nancy Grace show, because the contradictions are striking and it's a problem. Like, if you care about finding your son, why are you out here making such wild contradictions? Why are you driving away from your home where he could return?
Yeah,
Like, why
that's
are
my
you not
biggest
home?
question.
He could return. Like,
It looks
even
like
though
someone said that they did go looking initially. That's important.
she
Thank
drove
you.
around the first day after is what she claimed. I'm
Okay.
sure there were other times where they went and looked. They did
Okay.
look. But they're not doing it the way his biological father is doing it by any
Have
stretch
they
of the
made
imagination.
any statements as to why they're not communicating with the bio dad?
No, not that I've seen, unless somebody else
Is
has seen that.
is there some kind of animosity that we've heard of that they have between the bio dad and
Not
her?
according to them. According to them, Chris Proudfoot, the stepfather, and the bio father, Seth, have been we're in communication every day, like pretty much every day. Up
Okay.
until Sebastian's disappearance. And it sounds like, they did good, sharing Sebastian.
Yeah.
And like, at holidays, weekends, breaks from school, he would get to go to his bio fathers and it was not a problem.
They had a functioning relationship, co-parenting relationship.
That's what they
Okay.
claim, but none of them have went deep into detail on that.
Yeah.
Which I don't expect them to. That's not really our business, and it actually doesn't help find Sebastian. What would help is understanding what truly happened, because
I agree.
the mother talked about a thud in his room initially, and then she went into detail later on the Nancy Grace show and was like, "Oh, and I said, like, I don't know what you're doing in there, but you need to go to sleep." And he said, "Okay, mama." She never said that before until the Nancy Grace show. Why?
Got it.
Why did she never say that?
Strange.
Because that's a big deal. Hearing
Yeah.
a thud and then nothing else, that implies that's when he, like, that's what I would think is like, well, that sounds like when he would have went missing then. Someone
Yeah.
was breaking in or he was breaking out,
Right.
you know?
Right. Yeah.
But I don't know. It's hard it would just help to know what actually happened here. We don't
I
know
agree.
if the scent
Timeline.
we don't know if the scent dogs even hit. Like, we don't even know that. We have what Nancy Grace said she was told by the authorities they didn't hit. Then the parents come on and say, oh, they absolutely did. We know for a fact a scent dog hit by the retention pond. We literally have no clue. Like, how are we supposed to go off of that?
And this statement, I am usually let down in statements most of the time. And this one, they didn't share much either, other than, hey, let's
They
keep
haven't
this
this
front
whole
of
time.
mind. Make sure that you call this number with any details, tips, any questions, weird things that you might have seen. If you have a large property, call us and we can, check the property for you. Oh, and by the way, do not listen to anybody on social media. Like that's pretty much the statement that we heard. Then you have people who asked questions at the end who came forward and said, hey, we heard you found glasses. Oh, yes, we did find glasses and we are still investigating. And that is pretty much what I heard from it. Now, it sounds like, based on law enforcement, they've had officers out there covering this. He didn't go into the details of how many officers, but he did throw around FBI and Secret Service. I don't know exactly what that means, but I'm curious. I do think they need to go back in and start interviewing people again. Anyone that could have potentially been close, any neighbor, anything. And, I don't know what their interview techniques are like, but we've covered interview techniques before in the past. And, it based on the techniques they're using will determine how successful that interview is. So I'm curious to see any of those details as well.
Yeah. And, the drama about the parents, it's obviously a big deal right now. That's not what I care about. I care about the contradictions in their statements. Like, that's what matters to me personally, because that, like, okay, police, one thing that they will tell you usually if you're in a situation like this, where you're a part of a case where that's getting a ton of media attention, is don't say anything. And like, if you are going to say something, don't lie.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want misinformation spread.
Yeah.
They don't want that. So them going on national television and lying is a really bad look.
Yeah.
The cops don't want that happening. So, like, clearly they have lied. They have, because there's obvious contradictions, and you can't have it both ways. Like, you
Mhm.
can't not have a CPS case at all, but also have had one.
Yeah.
Like, it can't be both ways. On Nancy Grace, he was claiming it wasn't even against him, it was against his ex-wife, essentially, is what he was trying to say.
But then he came forward and confirmed that.
Well, before he went on Nancy
Yeah.
Grace is when he confirmed he did have a case against him.
Mm,
But it's like, I don't know. We have no idea what's the truth. This case is one of the most confusing, because you don't know what's real, and the cops aren't coming out and confirming anything at all, which
yeah.
makes me wonder, do they know a lot more than they're saying? Are they intentionally saying no foul play? We have no evidence of foul play. They're not giving any information because they already have a lead and they have an idea what's happening here. Because one thing that's really interesting in this case is that the Ring camera at the neighbors catches no cars coming in or out. That, like, there's nothing weird. There's a garbage truck. Apparently, that's what people thought the flashlights were. People thought they were flashlights, but it was actually like a garbage truck or something like that.
Okay.
But I haven't seen the video. But I mean, obviously, if they had came out with that video, we would have been able to know that. I don't know why they wouldn't just show the video, especially if you come to find out that the video doesn't matter, which they're claiming now, that video has no relevance. There's nothing of relevance in that video from the neighbor Ring camera. There is,
Man, we got like 100 people. That's weird that YouTube is the least amount of people watching. That's interesting. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just hadn't seen that before. But YouTube, we only have like 40 something people, and then we have like 100 and something on. Anyways, but go ahead. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's interesting. There's almost no trace of Sebastian ever leaving the home. So did he leave the home?
Listen,
Or
I have been let down by police over and over and over again. And we simultaneously sit here and say that we back police and support police. And I do. I truly, truly do. And I
do
would
too.
never be a police officer because I think their job is so insanely hard and scary and not a job that I want to do. Okay. So I have a ton of respect for law enforcement. But to be clear, when law enforcement isn't honest, when law enforcement isn't upfront, when law enforcement isn't transparent, I will be very quick to condemn those law enforcement officers. So I just hope in this situation, we're not getting second-rate police work. I hope that they are following the textbook investigative practices and not allowing YouTube's going to be YouTube. Like, law enforcement nationwide, why don't they have a class in their 6-week training program to become a police officer to help everyone understand? Ignore YouTube. There's nothing new there. YouTube is now what newspapers were 20 years ago. It is gossipy, it is opinionated, it
tabloid,
is conspiracy filled, and it needs to be ignored. Law enforcement needs to be a separate entity following their own call-in tips, their own details, and just ignore YouTube. If you get a tip that's being called in, hey, law enforcement, I want to let you know that I watched this video on YouTube, and I believe that this and this is going on. Okay, cool. Follow up that tip like any other tip, and then continue moving forward. Like, this idea and this every law enforcement statement that's coming out right now that's telling people YouTube is bad, true crime is bad, don't watch this, don't watch that. That's never going to happen. Just stop. All law enforcement officers, just stop. That is never, ever, 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 ever going to happen. And the true crime community is never going to take the blame for missteps in a law enforcement investigation. Just focus on the missing. Just focus on your job. Just be a law enforcement officer and stop focusing on everyone's gossip and opinions.
And there's
we're
nothing-
allowed to have those.
We're allowed to do that. Yes, we're allowed to have them. So
I know.
I think
mainstream
really,
media is too.
if they're
I
getting
agree.
a bunch of tips that are just insane speculation that have no basis in reality, I don't think there's anything wrong with them saying, hey, the tip lines are really getting flooded with a lot of crazy nonsense. So you guys, only things you've seen with your own eyes, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, give people some guidance. Like, these are the guidelines for actually submitting a tip. If they don't meet that, we're not going to listen to it. You know what I mean? And plus,
I do know what you mean. Yeah.
if you get 100 tips that are all from like the same YouTube video, they don't have to follow up on 100 tips.
Yeah.
It's one tip.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
So, I mean,
I do. Absolutely. I do.
anyway, but yeah, I have real questions if Sebastian honestly ever left the house or even made it home. You know, one interesting thing that I feel like hasn't been answered is, did anybody else go to dinner with Sebastian and his mom that night?
I mean, I think it's a really good question. I don't know.
Did Christopher Proudfoot have a good relationship with his stepson?
Yeah, so could they be involved secondary, like,
I'm just
third-party
asking because
source in
if
between
there's
them
any
and their
truth,
involvement?
if there's any truth to the ex-wife's story, any
Mhm.
truth, his family is ride or die.
Okay.
They'll do anything.
Yeah.
They operate together for each other.
Yeah.
Like, they're pretty tight knit. So, I mean, even though that's insane to think, it just makes me wonder, like, would they cover up something for each other like that? And
Yeah.
the last people who saw Sebastian that day, other than his mother, are his family. But the other thing that I wonder is, how much have they dug into Sebastian's devices? Because I think it's very possible for a socially awkward, inept, little autistic boy who doesn't get a lot of social interaction to be lured out of his bedroom at night. Like, oh, just come out here real quick,
Right.
I got something really cool to show you. Just come out here real quick.
Yep.
And he runs out there not thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
I really
I've
think,
wondered and wondered and wondered.
but
I
then
agree,
there
the
would be a
questions are
scent
there.
trail. There would be a scent trail. So that's my thing, is like, no scent trail. So did he ever leave the home?
Right.
That's a major question here. And I know that a lot of people take offense to even talking about the parents, but I think there's a real possibility here that the parents had something to do with it. I'm just being honest. Like,
I agree.
and
I think it's a fair question. I don't think there's anything wrong with asking these questions.
no, but the thing is it does seem the parents were very open to allowing investigators in their home.
Well, I mean, if we're looking at the possibility that someone could be involved, let's not stamp parents' name on it.
But
If you let
statistically,
someone-
that's the most likely.
If you let someone in the home, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're innocent. It could mean that there was no crime committed in a home.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm not sure, but it's definitely interesting. It's definitely interesting.
If there's no evidence of a little boy leaving his home and nothing of his is missing except him and a flashlight, which you don't even know if that flashlight ever existed, to be
Mhm.
honest. Did he ever leave his home? His phone isn't gone. None of his gaming stuff is gone. He didn't take a backpack. He didn't even take shoes.
Yeah.
Did he actually leave? That's all I'm saying. And honestly, statistically, it is most likely for his own family to have done something to him. Unfortunately, that is the world we live in, and that's the reality of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But we just wanted to bring you guys the updates here on the Sebastian Rogers case, and anything else that comes up, we will hop on here and bring it to you.
Yeah. And I just want to say, like, if the parents, I don't want to point fingers at them. The cops need to do their job and everything and look into them. And,
Yeah.
the thing is,
saying you're not pointing fingers at somebody, though, can be taken that you're pointing fingers at somebody. We're just asking normal questions. These are the questions that we
Sure.
expect our law enforcement officers to be asking. So it has nothing to do with the parents. We are not investigators. We are think tankers. We are Thought Riot, and our strength is think tanking these ideas. Now, these are the questions that we would expect our investigators to ask, and that's what we hope they're doing. So if anything, I am pointing fingers at law enforcement. I am expecting them to be asking these questions. I am expecting there to be a good investigation, and I am expecting Sebastian Rogers to be found. Hopefully, of course, alive, but he's been gone 30 days. Every day that goes on, statistically, it becomes less and less probable, but we still need to find him regardless. If either way, right? Either way. And I just want to send positive, good thoughts out to his family. So
yes, even though the cops don't like scrutiny, that is the best way to hold them accountable and make them do their job. And we can see the red flags with the parents. Most of society can. In the beginning, I thought people were too quick to the jump to blame the parents. I was feeling like that is super unfair in the beginning. But now that they've like taken off and some of the contradictions have come out, I think it's a reasonable question to ask. And I think the cops need to at least take another look. And they said that's what they're doing, that they're interviewing and re-interviewing, which is a good thing to hear in the press conference, is that they're not just interviewing people once, clearing them, and then done with them. They're re-examining people over and over, which is good.
yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, I really hope that Sebastian is found. Obviously for any kid, if they're in captivity or somewhere or something like that, it's going to be absolutely horrible and traumatic. But for an autistic kid, I think it just adds another level to it.
Yeah.
A whole nother level. But regardless, obviously, it's like the most horrible thing, period. But yeah, I just hope he can be brought home. And everybody, please, share his picture. With it being a month, he could literally be anywhere if somebody took him. He could be across the country. He could be in another country,
I agree.
So sharing his picture far and wide is important. It's incredibly important. So be sure just to share it with anybody you may know, anywhere. Not just
Yes.
in Tennessee, not just in America, literally anywhere and everywhere.
Yes. And all right, you guys, we will see you soon. The
Yes.
True Crime Talk Show, Thought Riot Podcast, is out.
Have a
See
good
you
day.
later.
Bye.